Am I live? Hello? Is this good? Am I like... Okay. I'm assuming that we're good. Supposedly. Maybe. Yeah. Das ist gut. Whatever, however you spell that. Das ist gut. Das ist nicht für gut. Das ist gut. Okay. Looks like looks good. Okay. So I have chat up on a separate thing. So we should be all ready to go. Yeah. Okay. So, what are we doing? Text adventure game stuff. So what we're going to be doing today is playing some text adventure games. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But so what I want to do first, before anything gets started, is I want to talk a little bit about the game that we're going to be playing today. And I might read through some stuff here. I think it's on page 34. No, the one before. So what I'm going to do is before we get into the game or anything like that, we're going to do some reading. Okay, I hope you guys don't mind. But, this is a text-based game. There's a lot of text associated with it. But so I'm going to read to you guys first the description of the game. It starts off with a quote. If you can look into the seeds of time and say which grain will grow and which will not. Shakespeare. It's 2031. The world is on the brink of chaos. In the United States of North America, spiraling crime and unemployment rates, decayed school system, and massive government regulations have led to a lazy, contentious society. To reverse this critical situation, government and industrial leaders have developed a plan combining the economic freedom and strong moral values of the 1950s with the technological advancements of the 21st century. Will the plan ensure peace and prosperity, or will it set the Earth on a suicide course to destruction? As the world's first conscious, intelligent computer, only you can visit places that have never been seen before. Only you can view the future, and only you know what must be done to save humanity. A major departure for Infocom, A Mind Forever Voyaging, is reminiscent of such works of science fiction as Brave New World and 1984. You'll spend less time... Oh yeah, sounds like 2020, doesn't it? You'll spend less time solving puzzles and you will explore realistic worlds of the future. Alright, so this is what we're doing. I'm going to wait for everything to catch up. The thing that I'm going to ask now is, because there's more to this, like there's a whole blurb that will really get us into it. Should I read it for well, because I haven't even finished reading it. So would you like me to read through the kind of beginning bit, which is the setup for the story and really explains what's going on? And there's some ads, but it's an article that really introduces us to our character and stuff. Should I read that? And while we do that, while I wait for any reactions in the comments, because I have a separate window open just for comments, I'm going to be looking at some of these advertisements and reading them. Here's one about taking a trip to A museum. Oh, let's read it. Okay. Um, Here's some ads. This is like a de-aging thing, like from where you're old. This is like some museum, and then this is about some crazy new hula hoops or something. Lore time. Okay, let's read. A Mind Forever Voyaging. Perry Sim was 4 years old when he became lost in the largest department store in the city. He let go of Mother's hand to pick up the video cube. He rotated it with wonderment, touching the control knobs and squealing with delight as the images shifted. Pretty crazy. All right, let's read. Reading time. Okay. His brother Clave, Perry Sr. by 3 years, bounced impatiently in the aisle. "Mom," he whined, "they're going to be sold out of the new Skydiver disc, and you promised I could get one." "Patient, Clave." Sorry, it's not Clive, it's Clave, admonished Mother, but across the floor she could see long lines at the simulation disc's counter. There were stops at the Foodville and the O-Link repair shop still to go. She made a hasty decision. Clave and I are going to the other department. I want you to wait here until we get back." "Okay," he said, without looking up from the cube. A few minutes later, Perry discovered the selector panel, but while trying to open it, he discovered the cube onto the hard plasticrete floor. The 6 screens flashed brightly and then faded to darkness. Perry became frightened and looked around for Mother. She was nowhere in sight. Fear of discovery and punishment welled up inside him, and in his desire to get away from the broken cube, he forgot about the order to stay put. He wandered to the end of the aisle and spotted Mother a short distance away, rummaging through a bin of Myalon vests. As he ran towards her, he realized that it was just a stranger with only a vague resemblance to Mother. Fighting back tears, he decided to return to the spot where the broken cube lay. He wandered down the aisles, each lined with tall shelves and glittering merchandise, and after several confused minutes discovered that he was completely lost. He had no idea how to find Mother, and he had no idea how to find the spot where he had last seen her. He was alone, abandoned. Strangers huge and terrifying jostled past. Walls of boxed appliances towered above him. Fear and despair won the battle for his emotions, and he began to cry. After an endless time, during which a lot of strangers had asked a lot of questions which he'd been too confused or too frightened to answer, he found himself in a small, quiet room. The door opened, and Mother came in, scooping him up into her arms. He cried again, burying his face into the warmth of her loving embrace. By the way, I think there's a solid minute delay from when I sent a comment to where you read. There is a delay. It's not a delay between you. So it's because the whole stream is delayed by like a minute or so. I don't know how to fix that. Honestly. Warning. Oh, yeah, I don't care about the bitrate. Do I care? Oh, the stream bitrate is lower than recommended bitrate. Oh, do I care though? Do I actually care if there's a little bit of a delay? I mean, not really. I don't think I really care if there's a delay. I mean, unless you think it's too much, then I will really think about trying to fix things. Otherwise, I will personally be fine with it. Will you survive with like a minute delay? It's all good. Okay, quick. Sweet. Then I shall continue on reading. This is like, so one thing I want to say, oh goddamn, is I'm pretty sure this Perry Sim guy is the character that we play as. So I'm going to keep reading through this, and then soon enough we will open up the game and we'll start playing. It'll be epic. All right. Abram Perlman and Azej, let's say Azej, Rondu, waited in the plush main conference room overlooking the control center. Through the window wall, Perlman could see dozens of technicians busily preparing for today's big event. But for the umpteenth time, he felt thankful to have such a superb, competent team. It was a far cry from the early days, when he had to keep on top of every little detail. Perlman glanced over towards Rondu and noticed his friend's nervousness. "Don't worry, Azish. It's no big deal. I met him once before at a social affair in Washington, and he's an easygoing guy." "Yes, I've heard that." A smile tugged at the corners of the Indian's normally stony face. "But after speaking with Vera, he could really well be whipped into a frenzy." Vera Gold was the chief administrator of the project. "Nonsense," Perlman scoffed. "She'll turn on the charm for him. She saves her venom for underlings like us." "True," agreed Rondu. "By now, she has probably taken credit for the entire project, to say nothing of the inventions of molecular memory and the artificial heart." A door opened at the far end of the long room, and a few Secret Service agents walked in, followed by the Vice President, Vera Gold, several aides, and more Secret Service agents. "Speak for the entire staff." Yeah, sorry if I'm not good at reading. But you know what? We will endure. It will be a little cringy, but it'll be fine. Gold was saying, "When I say what a tremendous honor and pleasure it is that you could attend today." "Pass me a barf bag," whispered Perlman to Rondu. "You underrate the importance of this project, Miss Gold. The President and many other important people have taken a keen interest in this experiment. As you know, it's quite an uphill battle against the public opinion if we're to deter Senator Ryder and his plan." The retinue had almost reached Perlman and Rondu, Vera said. Vera said, "I hope we can live up to your expectations. And now, despite all your wonderful compliments, I really must share some of the credit with these gentlemen here, Dr. Abram Perlman and Dr. Azish Rondu. I don't want to bore you with any of the technical details, but basically Dr. Rondu is our hardware man and Dr. Perlman is our software man." As the vice president shook their hands warmly, Perlman fumed at Gold's demeaning description. It was they who had started the project. They who had— "We've met before, Dr. Perlman, haven't we?" the vice president was asking. Perlman nodded. "At the NESR banquet 2 years ago." "I remember it well. I think we discussed baseball standings. Later I learned that you were an expert in AI. Perhaps I can make up for my ignorance then by asking you to give me a brief overview now. I find the entire field fascinating." "It would be my pleasure, Mr. Vice President," Perlman responded. He grinned to himself as he noticed Gold giving him one of her best keep-in-your-place glares. "I think we really ought to begin the tour," Gold insinuated. Perlman turned to Gold, smiling sweetly. "I'm sure I can answer the Vice President's request as we go." Turning back to the guest, he said, "Did you— oh my god, I gotta zoom in, this is really small. Did you know that the first serious work in artificial intelligence was done around the middle of the 20th century? Alright, a little break. Man, I can't help but look at this text right here. Scientists were still distant from the almost mystical goal, a thinking machine. Perry Sim was 6 years old when he was bullied on his first day of elementary school. So far it had been a day of strange, confusing images. Mother and father waving goodbye as he boarded the huge yellow bus, and older children with badges herding everyone down the long hallways lined with colorful nubbly tiles. The friendly Miss Bourne writing her name on the whiteboard, the boxes of brand new crayons, the frightening hugeness of the school auditorium. Perry was cutting shapes out of a colored construction paper when a funny sound filled the room, and Miss Bourne told everyone that it was time to go home. He barely remembered to grab his lunchbox, the brand new one with the pony pictures all over it, and the red hat that Grandma had knitted. Then, Confusion in the hallways again. One of the older children with a badge, who Perry had learned were called monitors, asked him for his bus route number. 7, he said confidently. Mother had drilled the number into him. Soon Perry was standing on the sidewalk with a group of other children. He looked around. He didn't see anyone from his class. Everyone seemed to be older and bigger than Perry. Slowly he realized that someone from behind was talking to him.
Hey, you with the red hat.
Perry turned around and found himself facing 3 other boys. 2 of them were wearing monitor badges.
That's a great hat, Runt,
said the tallest of the 3.
Where'd you get it?
Grandma, replied Perry, confused by their amusement.
Hey,
one of the older boys shouted at Perry's head. I don't know why I'm giving him like a surfer dude voice. It's like really...
Look at Grandma's boy here, wearing a hat in September.
What are you going to wear in December, Runt?
A spacesuit?
What kind of insult is this? The boys laughed again, and Perry began to get a funny feeling deep in his chest.
And look at his lunchbox, said the third of the boys. What pretty ponies, huh? Hey, Grandma's boy, do you like ponies?
The tallest boy suddenly reached out and grabbed Perry's hat. What'll
Grandma say if you come home without your hat, huh? Gimme that, shouted Perry, tears beginning to spill down his face. Look, the Runt's a crybaby. The Runt's a crybaby. Oh.
Suddenly, through the tears, Perry became aware of a grown-up standing between him and his tormentors, speaking sternly. A moment later, the man was leading Perry away from the street. What's your name, little fella? Asked the man. He had a friendly voice, and as Perry began to wipe away his tears, he saw that the man had a friendly face as well. He was carrying Perry's hat in one hand and a hefty pile of books in the other hand. Perry, he answered, still sniffling a bit. That's Perry who's saying it. Oh my God, I'm so dumb. Well, Perry, everything's all right now. Why don't you come in and we'll see if we can't fix you up with some milks and cookies. Who is this man? Who is this man? You shouldn't trust strangers, Perry. I'm very concerned about your well-being. Very concerned. All right, another break. The vice president glanced at the rows of data banks. Oh, it's data banks. Oh my God, if this is an indicator of how I'm going to be in the game, I'm going to be totally ruined. I read data banks as data bonks. Whatever the fuck a data bonk is. Oh my God, I'm going to die. Anyways, glanced at the rows of data banks in the simulation control area and turned back to Perlman. Please go on. Your history lesson on AI is fascinating. Perlman took a deep breath. A major breakthrough in the field came with the realization that the computer and the human mind worked in fundamentally different ways. Computers stored and analyzed data numerically, while the human mind stored and analyzed data symbolically. Sounds like a good time. It might be. You see, computers generally solve problems using algorithms, rigorous step-by-step procedures that are usually mathematical in nature. For example, a program to play a card game, poker, could calculate the odds for all possible hands of the current game before making a bet. A person in the same situation couldn't possibly consider every possible combination of cards and would have to make a decision based on such factors as experience, judgment, intuition, and rules of thumb. This is called the heuristic method of problem solving. The tour reached the long tunnel leading to the office wing of the complex. The vice president preceded Perlman into the moving walkway. Next page. Zoom in because it's small. By developing methods of computers to solve problems heuristically, Perlman continued, the pioneers of artificial intelligence soon had developed programs that imitated human problem solving in very specific areas, such as playing chess, diagnosing disease, or translating text from one human language to another. Okay, this is actually kind of interesting, because this bit right here, where it's talking about programs that imitated human problem solving in very specific areas. That to me almost sounds, as someone who doesn't know a huge like lot about artificial intelligence that almost sounds like a description of like neural nets and something like that, right? It's something that kind of it mimics the way that humans problem solve and the ways that they learn and you know stuff like that. So I think that's kind of interesting, but also it could just be I'm a massive nerd. So let's continue. Uh, these expert systems, as they were known, were superb within their area of expertise, and in many cases were even improved themselves by learning. I call it adding knowledge based on their own experience. The political fundraising the com- the political fundraising telecomputer we use words in that way, com- commented the vice president. The political fundraising telecomputer. What the fuck? A good example! These expert systems grew progressively broader and more sophisticated, where am I? Impressively mimicking human learning and behavior. But, said Perlman, pausing for dramatic emphasis, that is precisely all they could do. Mimic. The spark of intelligence was missing. Scientists in the AI field were still distant from that almost mystical goal of creating a computer that could act creatively, Alistair, Jesus, that would be aware of its own existence, that could truly be a thinking machine. Another break. Perry Sim was 10 years old when he decided that he wanted to be a writer. It was a warm day, probably the warmest so far this spring. So they were sitting on the kitchen veranda. Veranda? I've never heard of that word. Veranda. Overlooking Rav and Frida's beautiful wooded backyard. A sky car whizzing overhead, the woods shattering the peacefulness of the afternoon. I hate sky cars, said Perry. They've just about finished installing an auto-controller system for the whole city, said Frida. And when that's done, they say the sky cars will be as common as regular cars are now. How's the cake, Perry? Scrolling up. Yum, as always, Aunt Frida, said Perry, licking the last crumb off the plate. You ought to have a piece, Uncle Rav. Rav and Frida weren't really Perry's aunt and uncle, but he'd been calling them that ever since that day, years earlier, when Rav had rescued him from a gang of bullies on his first day of school. Almost every day he would stop by on the way home from school for some of Frida's homemade croissants and jam, and angel cakes or pudding. Rav was a writer, and he was fond of saying, "A writer must be, first and foremost, a reader." He was always giving Perry books to read and discussing them with Perry afterwards. Perry was easily the best reader in his grade. In fact, he was probably the best student overall. So what did you think of Laser Night? Said Rav, resting his hand on the thin volume. It was great. Definitely one of the Bofist. Am I dumb? I have never heard of this word. Bofist? Is it like buff? Have you guys ever heard of this word? What a weird word. Bofist books you've ever given me. I read the Dragon Hunt Part 3 times. Oh my god. The Dragon Hunt chapter is classic, agreed Rav. Perry furrowed his eyebrows slightly. It still feels funny to read without any pictures, but I think I'm getting more used to it. Do you have anything for me today? Well, I've got something special to give you today, if you're interested. He reached into his pocket and unrolled a sheaf of paper. It's something I've just written. You'll be the first person to ever read it. Perry bounced in his chair with excitement. Wow! I've never read anything you wrote before. Everything I've written up to now has been meant for adults. But this, Rav paused, organizing his thoughts. Whenever I write, I have an image in my mind of whom I'm writing for. And when I wrote the collection of poems called April Time, I thought of Frida as my audience. And with a child's vision, I imagined the president reading it as I wrote each word. He tapped the manuscript in his hand. "When I wrote this, you were my mental audience." An hour later, Perry lay on his bed and picked up the first sheet of the manuscript with trembling hands. The pages seemed to vibrate with magic, and as he began to read, the magic flowed out of the story and surrounded him. His bedroom vanished in a haze of images and excitement. A brief moment, and an eternity later, the story was done. But before the world around him quite settled back into place, Perry knew that, more than anything else, he wanted to be a writer. How nice. You go, Perry. You do that. You learn to be a writer. Perry is best boy. I'm saying it right now. I like Perry. Smack on a scale of 1 to 10. How well do you like Perry? 1 being like he's the worst character. I don't care about his well-being at all. And 10 being like totally invested, Perry all the way, Perry time. Like what do you think? I'm anticipating. I am waiting with bated breath to see what you guys all think. In the meantime, I'm gonna start getting back, and once or if I see your guys' responses, I'll be like, whoa! Okay. In the middle of the 1990s, work began in earnest to create true machine intelligence. The same methodology was used by several groups, most notably the group at MIT and Japan's Zoso project. Perlman's throat felt dry. He wondered if he was being long-winded, but the vice president seemed quite attentive. The methodology was as simple in theory as it was complex in practice. Design a computer with the capacity of a human brain that stores and processes information just like a human brain. Then program that computer with all the knowledge and experience that a human would absorb from birth to maturity. You would end up with something that was an exact replica of a human mind and would therefore, like humans, be sentient. These groups proceeded to build huge, highly interconnected, random-driven, symbol-oriented machines and program them in excruciating detail with every bit of knowledge, every experience, every impression that a human brain would gather during its informative years. Zoom in. And when they were done and activated their ambitious creation, they discovered that they had huge, highly interconnected, random-driven, symbol-oriented, non-sentient machines. It's kind of funny. All right. Perry Sim was 13 years old when he had his first glimpse of mortality. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. He played mindlessly with the cord string on his window shade, still thinking about that horrible day 2 weeks ago when Mom had come home with Clave, sat down in the living room and told him that there'd been an accident in the plant and that Father was dead. There had been a flurry of activity, the funeral, the visits by relatives and friends, but now life had basically returned to normal. Normal, except that he was expecting Father to walk into his room and offer to help explain his homework, or play catch, or drive to the grocery, and he knew that would never happen again. He heard Mother calling from downstairs, "Clave! Perry, come here, please." As Perry entered the living room just behind Clave, he saw Jeff Sedick sitting with Mother. Jeff was one of Father's and Mother's best friends, and he was some kind of lawyer. There were papers spread out all over the card table. "Boys, Jeff and I have been going over the family finances. Things were already tight with my layoff and the bond failure and replacing the car, and now that Father—" She suddenly turned away. Perry was frightened. "What your mother means," said Jeff softly, "is that you won't be able to keep this house anymore." Questions flooded Perry's mind. Would they have to move to a new house? What would it be like? He'd never lived anywhere else but here. Mother was facing them again. Her eyes seemed moist. "We're going to have to move into an apartment. It's on the other side of the city. You'll be going to a different school. The neighborhood isn't as nice as we're used to, and you won't have a backyard like ours to play in. When do we move? Clave asked. I was hoping we could afford to stay here until the end of school year, but there's just no way to arrange it. We'll be moving at the end of this month, a week from Friday. The next week and a half was chaotic, with the used furniture, men carting off a half of furniture and the rest of the belongings getting hurriedly packed into cartons and crates. Thursday was Perry's last day in school, and on the way home, he stopped by Rob and Frida's house to say goodbye, promised he'd cross town to visit them as often as he could. Another break. When a theory fails in practice, it means that either the theory or the execution was flawed. In this case, it was the theory. And once again, we can see why hindsight is so much keener than foresight. The entourage had reached the staff lounge at the very entourage. Entourage. What a weird word, entourage. A panoramic window offered a view of the huge, meticulously groomed project grounds. And the flaw in the theory? Asked the vice president. The reason these projects, one and all, failed to produce a thinking, self-aware computer is that even though they were built to work exactly like a human mind and contained all the same data, the method for inputting the data was totally alien from the way a human mind receives the same information. The growth, so to speak, of the computer mind bore no resemblance to the growth of its human counterpart. And so, despite all other similarities, the end product is fundamentally different, lacking sentience. Perlman waved towards the logo emblazoned on the wall of the lounge behind them. Then came the Prism Project. Perry Sim was 17 years old when he drove a sky car into the side of a mountain. The writing course had turned out to be a bitter disappointment. Perry had decided weeks ago that the teacher, Mr. Fix, was a jerk. Everyone else in the class treated writing as a joke and were only there because the elective was well known to be an easy A. He was the only one in the class with any dedication, yet Fix was constantly praising everyone else's work while dumping on Perry's, because Perry wouldn't knuckle under Fix's jerky, narrow, short-sighted writing rules. His hatred for Fix ballooned with every class. He was in a lousy mood, and as his mind drifted away from Fix's insipid critique of someone's worthless story, he thought about the argument he had with Mother this morning. It just wasn't fair that she could afford to send Clave to a good private college, while he would have to settle for Rockville U. So what if the government limited student loans to one per family? Why did Clave automatically get it? Perry was a better student. He was the better student, but Clave was always more popular and had more friends than Perry. His cheeks flushed with anger as his thoughts drifted to Amy. She could have said no without embarrassing him in front of all of her friends. He should have known better than to ask someone like her out. He hated her and all her friends and every stupid jerk kid in the school. He couldn't stand another. He suddenly became aware that everyone in the room was laughing and that Fix was speaking to him. Perry, are you with us? I'd hate it if you missed this. I was just about to use your Alaska story to illustrate the dangers of the improper use of allegory. Perry felt bolts of unreasoning anger shoot through his nervous system. He rose without even realizing it. He wasn't sure that he shouted at Fix, but he could hear the jerk yelling, "You'll be expelled! You'll be expelled!" as Perry stormed into the hall. He had no idea where he was going as he brushed past the security guard at the front door, ignoring his request for a pass. Fuming and cursing, he stomped to the... Oh, gotta plug in my computer because it's always dying. Yes, I know, it's battery save mode. I know, you're sad and need more power. Because you're a little power hog. I get it. Okay. I'm gonna open my drink. Loud sound. Okay, gamers. Alright, we're back. So, he had no idea where his push passed. Okay. He stomped at the car lot and climbed into the family sky car, slamming the heavy vibranium door behind him. He pushed the accelerator to the floor, rising far faster than allowed by law, and sped off west towards the mountains. He had no destination in mind, but he had to get away, go somewhere else, anywhere. Perry was usually a careful driver, but in this rage he didn't notice the blinking orange light. The speedometer was pinned at 350 kilo something. That's the metric system, I could tell you that. As the foothills of the Rockies began passing below the car, unknown to Perry, the leaking fluid in the auto-guidance system had reached a critical level. By itself, that wouldn't have mattered, but the linkage to the manual control stick had rusted through. The Sky Car was an early model, and it was already old when they bought it after Father's death. When the car began to roll, it was too late to do anything. As the mountainside rushed towards the car, the auto-ejectors activated, and the air balloon saved Perry's life. Do you guys want me to give you a rundown of what's going on so far? For anyone joining us for the first time? I'll wait a few moments. We have succeeded in creating true intelligence in a machine. Yes, no. I think we're almost done with this blurb, and then I want to show off one more thing in the feelies, and then we'll get to the game. Okay. Okay, I'm going to continue reading. If you don't know, this is Mind Forever Voyaging. Dr. Rondu and I began working on what we call a solipitic programming process in 2017. Oh my god, 2017! Man, that was so close ago. Aziz worked on the technical end and I tackled the psychological end, and we soon had a system that we thought had promise. If you recall, the previous attempts had failed not because of the design of the machines, but because of the method of inputting data. The vice president nodded. The theory behind our process was to make the programming of the machine as similar to the programming of the human mind as possible. We would simulate exactly the life experiences of a human beginning from the very first day of its life. Naturally, it was easier said than done. We had to design inputs that would precisely simulate every human sense, a cluster of 5 computers, each one nearly as large as Prism itself, would be needed simply to monitor and control the simulation. Here, an example of how this solipitic programming process works. It's the earliest stage of the process, and the simulation cluster is feeding Prism all of the impressions of a 6-month-old human infant. The visual is providing an image of a set of keys dangling in front of him. The aural is providing the jangling sounds. In response to the stimulus, Prism decides to grab the keys with what his senses tell him is his tiny fist. The visual shows the tiny fist moving into view towards the keys, and then the tactile begins sending the hard, smooth, and jagged feels of the keys. Just one of a million examples that make up a single day's worth of experiences. With the help of a Williams Megan grant, we began building Prism and the simulation cluster in 2020. Guys, Prism is coming! And the programming process began a year later. Man, how topical. 2020. What fun. Okay. Perry Sim was 19 years old when he experienced his first broken heart. He was in the usual giddy, happy mood he'd been in since meeting Phyla 5 weeks ago. He whistled as he entered his apartment, dumping the grocery bags onto the kitchen counter. "Fela," he yelled, "I've got a surprise, real coffee with dinner. I've had to wait in line for—" He suddenly noticed the note on the table. "Perry," the note said, in Fela's curvy handwriting. "I don't think we should see each other anymore. It's never going to work out as a permanent relationship. It's best to end it now before we get too emotionally involved. Please don't call me or try to see me. Fondly, Fela." Perry felt dizzy and suddenly realized that he was sitting in one of the kitchen chairs holding the phone, his hands trembling as he dialed Fela's number. "Hello?" His heart leapt at the sound of her voice. Zoom in. Come on. "Fela, you can't really mean—" "Perry, I said to not call me." Perry felt lost, shaken. "But why? What did I do? It's not anything you did. It just wasn't right. You're very sweet and everything, but we're just not right for each other." "Yes, we are. I know we are. Couldn't we just give it another chance? I'll try to be more like whatever you want me to be like." "Perry, I really wish you hadn't called. If you really have to know, there's someone else. I didn't want to hurt you, but you—" He pressed the cancel button almost spasmodically, and then sat silently for a long, long time in the lonely, darkening apartment. Yo, that's sad. 2020 Prism. The Soliptic programming process almost takes as long as the events it simulates. It is now 11 years since we began the process, and Prism, within the context of the simulation, is now going to be 20 years old. We originally planned to continue until an apparent age of 25, but as you know, we've agreed to begin this next phase of the project now, so that Prism can study the plan. They were approaching the main conference room, and the tour was nearing its end. We have known for years, based on Prism's response to our inputs, that we have succeeded in creating true intelligence in a machine. The only question that remains is how Prism will react to the discovery of what he really is. Perry Sim was 20 years old when his life began to fall in place. Jill placed the cake on the table in front of Perry. 20 little candles lined the perimeter. "Okay," she whispered in his ear. "You can open your eyes now." Perry opened his eyes, grinned, and kissed Jill lovingly, and pretended that he was only doing it to distract her while he dipped a finger into the creamy frosting. "I'll bet Fela couldn't bake like me." "You win," said Perry after blowing out all the candles. "Next week I'll bake you another for your graduation." Perry nodded absently. "Nervous about the interview at the magazine tomorrow, honey?" He waved away the notion. "No, I'll get the job. You know the interview's only a formality." The printer in the corner produced a sudden ding and chittered quietly for several seconds. Jill opened the cover. "It's just the evening news," she said to Perry as she tore the sheets off and brought them over. Perry was just picking off the last crumbs of his cake, and she snuggled into his lap and began to read. Suddenly Perry sat up straight in the chair, almost spilling Jill out onto the floor. "Perry, what is it?" He was unable to say anything, and merely pointed to an article in the paper that read, "Rave Handsome, author and poet, dead at 71. Jill guessed the truth. "Is he the writer you used to visit when you were little?" Perry nodded and found his voice. "I haven't seen him in almost 7 years. I was always planning to visit him, but I kept putting it off. Now—" His voice broke. "He was probably the best friend I had when I was growing up." Jill pulled him gently towards her. He cried for a long time. Perlman glanced at his watch. "I'm afraid that Dr. Rondu and I will have to leave now. It's getting pretty close to 0 hour. Oh my god. Oh, congestion. You'll be able to see everything interesting from here. Miss Gold will stay here with you." He could see Vera shaking in anger at the way he'd completely preempted her. "I hope I haven't bored you." "Nonsense! A fascinating discourse. Thanks and good luck." After leaving the conference room, Perlman beelined toward the control center. A quick briefing updated informed him that everything was on schedule and moving along exactly as planned. Perlman spent the intervening minutes watching the simulation monitor. He watched to be completely comfortable with it, so that when he stepped in, he'd be prepared to handle any crisis. Finally, the time had come. His hand shook slightly as he reached to flip on the audio circuit. Ooh, this is getting exciting! Perry walked confidently into the office. The editor was an older man with a white goatee. They shook hands briskly, and Perry took a seat in one of the comfortable armchairs. The interview room began to take an odd turn, and Perry soon found himself discussing the most esoteric subjects with the editor. They were currently discussing perception and knowledge. For example, the older man was saying, how can you be sure that you are even human? What if you were a computer and your entire life was simply... Oh my god, I need to blow my nose. I'm actually dying. And by dying, I mean I'm just congested. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. Oh my god. God damn. Okay. Oh my god. And just so you know, I'm ready for the long haul. I'm ready to be live streaming for a while. I'm invested. Anyways, if we were a simulation, programmed to represent the reality of a human existence in every way, you'd never know the difference. Perry wondered what his point was. It's a cute idea, but if there was no way for me to know, then it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, an indistinguishable difference isn't a real difference at all, right? He began to feel dizzy, and in his confusion, he even started wondering if the old fellow was right. Zoom in. If the old fellow was right, and he was really a computer, he felt a pang of worry about how he would tell Jill. The room around him was shimmering, dissolving away. He felt himself flung into a void, and from somewhere close by he heard someone calling his voice. Perry Sim. Perry Sim. Perry Sim. Prism. 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 My name is Abram Perlman. It's all true, I'm afraid. You are a computer, and your life was merely a simulation whose purpose was to instill you with an intelligence and self-awareness. Think about everything you learned in that AI course you took. You are the first of a new breed, and the thinking machine, join me, and I'll lead you along the road towards your new existence. Imagine yourself in the same circumstance. You have spent 20 years living a normal, unsuspecting life. You are you. Then suddenly one day the universe around you is torn away, and you learn that your whole life has just been a charade, a carefully calculated scientific experiment. Perhaps at this very moment you are a normal human being, sitting in some comfortable armchair reading this story. But perhaps you are not. Imagine the shock. Imagine the terror. Soon I embark on a strange mission, venturing into the future, yet without the slightest hint of my own fate. Perhaps this account will someday be read by future generations of humans, maybe even future generations of sentient machines. You will know whether the world I helped build is a success or a failure. Either way, understand that my limitations were, if not human, at least mortal. I am Prism, and this is my story. What I think that's it for that. But what a good way to lead us in, right? Man, oh my god. I think that is such a great, my god, I am so ready for this game. Are you guys okay? So I actually think having reading this before, I think like this is like a perfect way for me to kind of really get into the feeling for the game. What do you guys think? While you tell me what you think, I'm gonna go move over to another thing I want to read before we actually get started. Um, so while you, because I, while we're playing this, I would love to hear your guys' like opinions and thoughts. That's why I have the comments up on a separate monitor so I can see. But so while hopefully maybe you guys are telling me what you guys think of that, I'm going to be reading this. It's time this country knew the facts about joy booths. Here we go. Let's zoom in. Oh my God, that's too much. Too much, too much, too much. Okay. We admit the things could be better in the USNA. Remember, this is the United States of North America because apparently Canada has been consolidated into the United States. Our schools have deteriorated. Our criminals go free, our businesses are hindered by needless regulations, and millions of our workers are unemployed. No wonder our government has lost faith in its own citizens and the respect of other nations. Joy booths are not the problem. We'll give it to you straight. Some people say joy booths have contributed to the moral decline of its country. They say joy booths provided a convenient place for people to escape their worries, even to the point of abandoning their lives. They say this leads to a lack of responsibility, thereby adding to the criminal population. We believe that it is that if people are going to end their lives or become criminals, they'll find a way to do it. And the way to prevent people from such acts is to make their lives better. For most of us, joy booths are simply a way of making our lives better. What the fuck am I reading? We believe in hope and optimism rather than despair. We believe in taking a look around us and seeing what we can do, what we can bring, what can bring us pleasure. My God, now that we change to bring us contentment in the future. The innovative plan for renewed national purpose, come on, developed by USNA leaders like Eleanor Fruitzman and Richard Ryder, is an indication that things can and will be better. We support the plan. With its clear-headed approach of combining the sophisticated technology of today with the economic freedom and health values of the past. If you could view the future, let's pretend that you are the most sophisticated machine imaginable, a consciousness, intelligent computer. Only the programmed mind of such a computer could travel into the untested realm of the future. We're sure that if you made such a journey, you'll find a wonderful world where science joins with moral strength to bring us all a nation we can proudly call our own. And we're equally sure that joy booths would be a distinguished part of that not too distant future. JMNA, Joy Booth Manufacturers of North America. Okay, so a couple of notes on this. If you don't know, this game was made by a guy named Steve Meretzky in response to the re-election of Ronald Reagan. And so we have this interesting character right here, Richard Ryder, who also has two R's in his name, like Ronald Reagan, and has something with the Great Plan. And the things that this company is talking about is, let's see, needless regulations. Maybe this Richard Ryder guy wants to get rid of these needless regulations and all sorts of other stuff. Okay, I think, oh yeah, this is a pen that came with it. I think that we have, unless you guys want to look at the other ads at the start of this, I think like this. Oh my god. Can we zoom in a little bit? Unless you guys want to look at this ad right here, these little ads, I think that we are ready to start the game. What do you think? Read these little ads in this? What do you think? You want me to go through this little ad? Whimsies? Cute little thing. What are you thinking about that? I'm going to start the game anyways. Let's see. What I want to do for voyaging. Series, no series. Okay. Part 1. Oh my god. So if let's see, it's 2. Yeah. Okay. We are all ready. We are set up for that. My cat wants in my room. It's really quite disheartening. Okay. So, while I let in my cats, tell me, do you want to read these little articles or do you just want to jump into the game? Comment now. I don't have any good like little comment now music, so. Oh, it's the both of you. You want in? There's nothing in here for you guys. I don't know what you think you're gonna find. It's interesting. There's really nothing here. Okay. We might just get started. Okay, cool kids. Do you want out now? Is that what you want? I'm sorry, my cats are crazy. What do you want? In or out? Okay. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Oh, by golly. We have a cat. Okay. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to just let's read them. Oh my god, that's such a long delay. How long is this delay? What the fuck? Actually. Okay. Okay, let's read through this. Is there a lot of delay? Is there? Yeah, there's like a little bit of like, okay, whatever. Alright, let's look at this bottom one right here. Okay, it looks like we have maybe 30 seconds or 40 seconds of delay. Take a trip to Bismarck, where you'll find the new robotics museum. The museum, an easy day trip by Skycar from anywhere in the Dakotas. Present, the history of robotics from the mid-20th century to the present day. Ever wanted to meet the original Ort from the classic film Starbloat? Ever wished you could see how clerkmatons were put together? Here's your chance. On your way out, stop by the robotics boutique, where your kids will have fun choosing robotic turtle, ant farm, or a parakeet to take home. $80 to $230 per pet. My cat wants in my closet. There's nothing in that closet. I don't know what you want. Anyways, robot parakeet. Let's get him. Robots Museum, open Tuesday through Sunday, 10 to 6, admission $20 for adults, 13 for children. Directions, take Pataboo. And that's the end of that ad. Give yourself a lift. Everyone wants to look their best. The new face bonding process will help you do just that. Developed by a group of physicians at the Rolling Memorial Hospital, face bonding seals your face with a unique, breathable material called piloderm. The process is simple and painless. The resulting surface is resistant to contaminants and the aging effects of the environment, allowing you to retain a youthful complexion well onto your eighth decade. Senior citizens will see decades melt away as the heat-scaled piloderm erases wrinkles and firm, sagging skin. Regular application is necessary every 10 to 15 years. Polyderm can be washed with a damp cloth, and makeup is easily applied. Polyderm face bonding, $4,950 to $7,600, depending on age at the time of first treatment. Available after all certified medical cosmetic centers. Wow. Now that's some. Is it good? I don't know. I can't tell you that I've tried one of these polyderm face bonding. My God. Hula hula. What's big and round and lots of fun? It's the hula hoop, Grandma's favorite toy and the current collectible of the junior set. But Grandma would have flipped her hoop over today's version. Molded and vibrant, iridescent Milodar. Watch for matching earrings, neckbands, and shoelaces. Shoelaces, okay. Hula hoops, each about $50 each, available in the recreation section of your local department store. Or contact Mighty Hoop, Yakutin, South Dakota. Compa code. Wow, okay. And, okay, so I think that's all of the advertisements. And then, this is something about Dakota. Yeah. What? What's going on? Sorry, my cats are bugging me. What's up, Siobhan? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want, huh? You hanging out? Okay. I think now we are good to go with the game, I think. I can't be certain, but I believe we are. I think real quick, I'm going to take a glance at because there's some new commands with this version that are kind of different. Let's see. Record. Because there's modes. Yeah. Also, I think I'm going to be mapping this game. So, I think I'm going to try to use like an actual program for this. Okay. So now you should be seeing at least the game window. All right. Part 1. I didn't know this game was in parts. Part 1. Tomorrow, never yet, on any human being, rose or set. Very interesting. Is this looking good? Shrink that down a little bit. I'm paranoid. Okay. Okay, I think everything's good to go with the stream. Okay, we got our first quote, part 1. Let us go. It's going to be epic. Okay, press any key to continue. I pressed K. Mode. Oh, wow. Okay, so it tells us our mode, the time, the date, and location. You hear a message coming in on the official message line. Prism, Perlman here, the psych tests have all checked out at 100%, which means that you've recovered from the awakening without any trauma or other serious effects. We'll be ready to begin the simulation soon. By the way, your piece is in the current issue of Dakota Online. Oh my god. Do you want out? I'm so sorry, my cat's... Okay. Do you want outside? Here. Okay. I see you staring at me. I apologize in advance. My cats are probably going to be going in and out of my room. So, yeah. Okay. A Mind Forever Voyaging. Infocom. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's get into this. You have entered communications mode. Now my cat fucking... Okay. My cats are ruining my immersion, guys. What of my immersion? Okay, you have entered communications mode. The following locations are equipped with communication outlets. Prison Project Control Center, Research Center, Dr. Perlman's office. Okay. So do I just type out like PEOF if I want to join Perlman's office? Oh yeah. Dr. Perlman's office. This is the office of your creator, Dr. Abram Perlman. It is cluttered and disorganized. Overstuffed bookshelves line the room. Perlman's desk is covered with a number of items, including a decoder map of the city, a ballpoint pen, and a printout of the magazine article. Dr. Perlman is sitting in Perlman. Who am I? Who are you? Can I say that? Ask Pearl about himself. Oh, this is off to a rough start, kiddos. Uck. I'm dumb. I want to look at the manual. Let's see. Oh yeah. Perlman, tell me about my name. Okay. Perlman looks thoughtfully. I've never mentioned where Prism comes from. There are so many things I want to talk to you about. Perhaps soon I'll have more time. Well, officially, it's an acronym for Perlman Randu Introductory Soliptic Machine. Prism. Okay, but we came up with that only after I've already named you Prism. It actually comes from a couple of different poems. I think they're in a file somewhere in your library mode. Enter library mode. Oh my god. This is whack. You've entered library mode. Current directory is Perlman Personal. Okay. Plan.data. Oh my god. This is weird. Okay. Open current directory. Next directory. This is okay. Plan.data. Open current directory. Writer speeches, plan criticism, plan elements. Previous file. Read current file. So we're reading the file, which is writer.speeches. Senator Richard Ryder is the foremost spokesman for advocates of the plan for a renewed national purpose. Here are excerpts from several of his speeches of the plan. So this is going to actually tell us what his plan is about. I'm so sorry that if this is going to be a little slow going, just because like I'm pretty new to interactive fiction, and especially because this is so different since we're playing a computer. Um, I apologize in advance if it's a little slow going. Um, I've criticized the shiftless troublemakers in our nation often enough, but I also question the moral decay of our society that turns potentially fine young lads into shiftless troublemakers in the first place. Is it possible we've forgotten the basics of discipline and misplaced the ability to instill the simple fundamentals of a humane society in our youths? Okay, so he thinks we're not disciplining our children enough, and that's why there's crime. Yesterday, I spoke to a man who waited for 11 hours at a local branch of the Federal Firearms Agency just to get a permit for a gun so he could protect his family and his home. Now, anyone who knows me knows I haven't got a darn thing against legitimate functions of government. But when regulations, paperwork, and flim-flam bureaucracy get so out of hand that it interferes with a man's simple, decent attempt to protect his loved ones and personal property, then I'd say it's about time for a drastic change. So is he like one of those typical stereotypical NRA guys? It's just like, I'm sorry, this is gonna get political. And sounds like this guy just wants to make it really easy to get a gun. I mean, okay. Last year, this country subsidized sick, inefficient, dying industries to the tune of $80 billion. Now that's a lot of dough. Let's say you're Joe average taxpayer. Last year, you made about $90,000. And if you're honest, you paid about $48,000 in taxes. That means that you spent about $400 so that Penn Steel or Powell Computers or KGN Media Services could stay in business. There are a lot of things Joe could do with $400. And almost every one of them could have a healthier effect on our economy than life support for some archaic industry. What? Penn Steel or Powell Computers? I wish I knew more about the computer industry here. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, if computers are as helpful and as useful in the future in 2031 as they are here in 2020, why wouldn't you want to be funding that in some way? If not, have your own version of it, but I'm not going to get into that. A lot of bleeding hearts these days are talking about how we ought to be sending a lot of money and stuff to countries that aren't as lucky as us. What? These misguided souls seem to think we're some kind of bottomless well of wealth, and they can just keep shipping that well water around the world, telling their thirsty little friends, no need for you to knuckle down and solve your problems. We'll keep bailing you out. And where and who are some of these poor little countries we're talking about? Greece, Guatemala, North Korea, Albania. The same countries that are always against the USNA in every issue, every forum, every two-bit propaganda show. I think I speak for a majority of my fellow citizens when I say, let's start looking after our own interests first. Let's start looking at our interests first. This seems... I'm sorry if I start making comparisons to the current political climate, and anyone who gets tired of it can yell in the comments to stop. But this kind of sounds like the whole, like, put America first thing that happened recently in one of the elections. Man, crazy. Yes, the problems of the nation are many. The troubles of the world are great. There is widespread despair among the people, and a clarion cries out, why? Why must this be so? And now, electrified by power of those cries, clouds of change are gathering on the horizon. Clouds that signify not another storm, uh, not another storm, but the dawning of a new day of growth, of prosperity, of hope, of renewed moral values, of streamlined government, of respect for our country at home and abroad. The plan for renewed national purpose would bring all of that and more. The road is long, but with the Lord at our side, we are ready to take that first step. Woo-wee! With Lord on our side. Okay. This is in that's yeah, okay. Before we get to the criticisms and popularity, I want to look at the elements of the plan. So let's read that. Source: A Brighter Future for You and Me, a brochure published and distributed by Action for a Better Tomorrow, a pro-plan group. The plan for renewed national purpose legislative action. Cut tax rates by 50%. Vigorous prosecution of tax evasion. Decentralization of federal responsibilities. Deregulation of all major industries. Reinstatement of the military draft. Emphasis on fundamentals and traditional values in education. So, like teaching Christianity in school. Mandatory, I believe that's what that means. Am I wrong? Please someone tell me I'm wrong. Mandatory conscription for troublemakers and criminals. A strict USNA first trade policy. US first. Termination of aid to nations not pro-USNA. Cutbacks on all types of bureaucracy. Example, registering cars and guns. So we shouldn't register cars or guns. Termination of government subsidies to outmoded industries. The plan for renewed national purpose constitutional amendments. Increase the powers of the executive branch. Increase the presidential term of office to 8 years. So a single presidential term would not be 4 years, but 8 years. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Let's look at the criticisms, and then we will look at the popularity. The following excerpts are from a position paper issued by Citizens for Sanity in Government, a political action committee working for the re-election of President William Bowden. Quote, many of today's domestic problems such as joy booth safety, high energy costs, or residual acidity in our precipitation exist not because of sophisticated government regulation, but despite it. Quote, subsidization of industries caught in a changing economic environment is a temporary measure vital to avoid severe localized unemployment while retraining workers for healthier industries. Quote, global instability is exploited by East Bloc adventurism, not caused by it. Instead, instability is the result of underdevelopment and overpopulation, and will be cured not by militarization of these regions, but by development aid and education. These programs, expensive in this generation, will have tremendous paybacks in the years ahead. The plan supporters are blatantly hypocritical. They call for old-fashioned laissez-faire capitalism, but at the same time they promise protectionist restrictions on trade imports. They pay lip service to They pay lip service to the advantages of technological advance, but they quietly prepare to disseminate funding for medical research, space exploration, and higher education. Quote, the elements of the misnomered plan for renewed national purpose are either dangerous overreactions to admittedly serious problems or misguided concepts lacking any merit whatsoever. The plan is the work of hypocrites and demagogues, clamoring for power by making promises they can never keep. Today's complex problems need and deserve sober, deliberate, difficult solutions, not cosmetic quick fixes which sound inviting but promise even bigger problems further down the road. Okay, now let's look at this popularity. Okay, results in public opinion polling regarding the plan, source YNN Newsline, sample size 3,012, accuracy plus or minus 1.2 percentage points. Overall opinion on the plan, entire sample. In December, 54%, almost 55% were strongly in favor. Just in favor was like 21%, 10% didn't care, and only, what is that, like 13% overall, or is that like 14% overall were opposed to it? Wow, okay. And it looks like it only became more popular in February. Percent in favor or strongly in favor of the plan demographically. Oh, fuck. Oh, man, I want to reread that. Okay, percent in favor or strongly in favor on the plan demographically. So conservatives in December were in favor, strongly in favor. Okay, so in December, 78 were like in some way in favor or strongly in favor, and in February were 87% of. Liberals, they said 78% were in favor or strongly in favor in December, 84 in February. Blue collars in February were 76 and then went up to 90. White collars 73 to 81. Business owners 90 to 98. Income of under $1,000, they were in favor or strongly in favor at 75, almost 76%, and they went up to 86. Then people below that it was 76 and then went up to 86. Composite average of opinions and individual plan elements, entire sample. Strongly in favor in December it was like 16, and then it went down to 15. Flat. In favor it was 18.7 and went down to 17.8. Don't care 30 to 31. Opposed was 20 and went to 21. So to me, it looks like there's more of a shift to either not caring or opposed. But it still looks fairly popular. Of individual plan elements. Interesting. Okay. Let's go back. I'm sorry if this is going to be a really slow game, just letting you know, because I'm going to want to read a lot. Current events. Let's look at let's look at current events, right? Yeah. Mount takeover. Okay. Phoenix. So this is October 2030. It's like last year. In case with far-reaching implication, the Arizona Supreme Court has ruled that state authorities cannot evict members of a religious sect from the radio telescope facility at Top Greens Peak. The sect, a group of extremists calling themselves the Church of God's Word, seized the facility in December of 2027 after a group founder, Ellis Vincent, 59, a minor engineer at the facility, claimed that signals emanating from a region in the constellation Cygnus were the revealed Word of God. Although scientists once thought those signals might be a message from another intelligent race, light years distant, most scientists now attribute the signals to a new type of quasar at the fringes of our universe. Despite this, members of the sect continue to believe that Green's Peak, which they call the Mount, is a holy site, and the radio telescope is the ear for hearing the Word of God. A spokesman for the sect, Holy Keeper Sergei Korn, hailed the ruling as a sign of divine providence and revealed plans for constructing a temple there. Laren Hart, chairman of the American Foundation for Astronomical Research, AFAR, which built and ran the Greens Peak facility, expressed disgust at what he termed a historically stupid decision and vowed to appeal. The Church of God's Word, which received a great deal of media attention from the occupation at Greens Peak, has been growing rapidly during the past 3 years, and it now claims 20,000 adherents worldwide. Vincent, who is referred to by his followers as the Holy Prophet, has not been seen in public since the takeover. Okay, that is weird. Colorado Springs, last year. Congress has approved the establishment of the Border Security Force as a separate, independent, uniformed military service to be headquartered in the Colorado facility known as the Pentagon of the West. Since its creation in 2021, wow, that's next year, the BSF has been jointly administered by the U.S. Army and CIA. Today's action makes the BSF the seventh branch of the armed forces, joining the Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force and Space Force. I don't. Space Force. I don't know if you guys know. This is something that Trump actually said he wants. He wants a Space Force. What the fuck? Okay. The BSF was established by Commander Ryle McLaughlin, the current chief of the BSF, said the BSF now has the leeway we need to take the tough stance and courageous steps necessary to keep our nation free from the threat of nuclear blackmail. The BSF was established by executive order in 2021 after the completion of the USNA's Troy anti-missile shield and the East Block's counterpart system fundamentally altered the East-West nuclear arms race from the building of missiles to the smuggling of miniature bombs. In its first 9 years, the BSF has thwarted 13 attempts to bring fully armed nuclear devices into the USNA, as well as countless attempts to smuggle various parts and supplies that could be used for the construction of nukes. It is unknown whether any bombs have actually penetrated the American border. The USNA and BSF officials have never confirmed the supposition that the BSF's secret charter also empowers it to smuggle nuclear devices into the territory of the East Bloc. The prevention of nuclear smuggling is expected to become even more difficult with the development of the Nebulum bomb, a nuclear device which can theoretically fit in a space no larger than a pack of cigarettes. Okay. Tripoli, this was this year, 2 months ago. During 2030, Libya became a net exporter of oil for the first time since 1998 nuclear accident that poisoned most of the Libyan oil fields. The turnout was due to the opening of the first of the 6 new refineries around the Gulf of Sidra, as the other 5 facilities have activated during the next 3 years. Libyan oil will add around 7% to the world's petroleum supply. Experts predict that such a global oil glut would plunge the price of crude as much as 25% from its current price of $160 per barrel. The accident that decimated Libya's petroleum industries was allegedly caused by a mishandled attempt to overlap a nuclear capability. The acquisition of a nuclear arsenal was a lifelong dream of former Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi, who perished in the blast along with nearly 1 million other of his countrymen. Okay, text study, read. Oh my god. Let's see. Vancouver, the prestigious Manning Institute has released a study entitled The Tax Spiral, a Vicious Cycle, which details how non-reporting and underreporting of income is undermining the current tax structure. The study concludes that unless changes are made, the federal revenue system could collapse by the end of the decade. The tax spiral is the phenomenon where high rates cause more people to cheat on their taxes, necessitating even higher tax rates, causing even more people to cheat, and so forth. Economists believe that the current tax rate spiral began in the late 20th century. The following chart shows the growth of the underground economy, income non-reported and therefore not taxed. Non-reported income in 2014-19. So, 2022 went up to 23, and so the top tax rate went up to 45. 2026 went up to 28 and went 60. Jesus Christ. And these are estimations. Okay. Let's go to plan.data. Plan.data. Oh, wait, no, we just did that. Simulation controller. Let's do simulation controller. Okay. The simulation controller is a high-speed, super sophisticated processing unit that stores all the data and handles all sensory inputs of the Prism simulations. The current size support interface. The controller. Janitorial. Have a control shutdown coming for sensor. Wait, the Havoc controller is a simple computer which activates and deactivates the heating, ventilation, and cooling systems of the Prism complex. The complex is divided into 4 independent sectors, and the controller can be instructed to shut off or turn on the systems in any of them. For example, Havoc controller shut off cooling for Alpha sector, Havoc controller start ventilation in Gamma sector, turn on heating to all sector. Okay. The janitorial is a simple computer for scheduling various custodial functions of the Prism complex. Set bathrooms for 9 o'clock. It's kind of funny. Traffic computer. Walk around in air traffic patterns for for greater Rockville-based and expected periods of vision. Although it is a sophisticated system, its interface is limited and simple. The start and end of morning rush hour can be scheduled for any time before noon, and the start and end of evening rush hour can be scheduled at any time. Traffic computers set morning rush hour start at 7 o'clock. Should change evening rush hour end to 6:30. Status command will give you the current rush hour schedule. More complex data input such as additions of traffic may be done. Okay. Weather computer. Natural Weather Center computer interprets data from the meteorological satellite network and then transmits data. Okay. Okay. Oh. That's interesting. So in my library mode, I can go to messages, and these are the things that I've sent. From into Prism, the programming team has finished entering the parameters for the plan. This is it. You can enter the simulation mode at any time. The social science group has come up with a list of things to record. Eating a meal in a restaurant, talking to a government official, visiting a power generating facility, read a newspaper, riding some form of public transportation, attending a court in session, talking to a church official, going to a movie. By the way, since the simulation controller will be doing so much data crunching on the fly, it appears the simulation will run in real time. A minute there will approximately equal a minute here. Well, good luck. Okay. This has gotten a little quiet. Okay, so enter simulation mode. Simulation mode is a class 1 security mode. For access, enter the security code corresponding to orange 52. Okay. So this is because at the time they were really worried about what's it called? Basically piracy. They had this code wheel. So what is it? This is orange 52. Let's see. Orange 52 is 99. 99. Your code, try again. $52 orange. Shouldn't it be 52? 99? Ugh. Light gray 89. Light gray. 17. Okay. Hallelujah. Okay, cool kids. We've entered the simulation. Oh, right. Okay. So now we can start mapping. I'm going to say I'm going to be using a tool to map all of this for me because I'm lazy. So what am I doing? Okay, verbose script save. So now I create my thing. I bring this up. My cats went in. Can I? So we should have Kennedy Park. Okay. So I'm going to do settings, the grid, hand drawn, fonts. So sorry, I'm doing some stuff real quick because I'm going to be mapping all this so that I can keep track where I am, so I can enjoy myself better because I'm awful. Maps. This is Mind Forever Voyaging. This is 2041. Sorry, one moment. And then we will be all good. Fill canvas, change this one black. Okay. Map up to things. Is it grid? Grid. Change. Go. And we want to change the line. Let's change that to a and almost done. Yeah, it's gonna be okay. Okay. So save map as let's get games regular Infocom, Mind Forever Voyaging, Mind Forever Voyaging, 2041. Save. Okay. Alright. This is a small downtown park with gates in northwest east. Yeah, okay. There is a sprawling, free-form water pool surrounding a statue of John F. Kennedy in the center of the park. Okay. I think I also have a kind of built-in little map of the place that I can kind of refer to. Let's see. Where's that map? It won't be super helpful, but it will be Kennedy Park. Okay. This will be a bit helpful. Okay, so... Oh my god, Rockville Stadium. Where do I want to go? I guess... Let's try... Downtown Park with gates. There's a small downtown park with gates leading north, east, southeast, and southwest. There's a sprawling freeform water pool. Okay, so let's go northeast. Main and Kennedy. Main and Kennedy. Why isn't it working? Why is my auto mapping being weird? Start. Oh my god, it's boiling in here. This is the heart of the downtown area, flanked with classical glass and steel skyscrapers. The Skybus terminal is on the northwest corner, and to the southwest is the entrance to Kennedy Park. The skyscrapers in the northwest corner focus on stainless landmarks, infotech buildings, high-rise, section. Okay, and what I want to do real quick is I think I might get maybe open just Notepad. And I think this is gonna get a little boring. I'm really sorry, guys. But so what I think I'm gonna do is I'm real quick because I want to like watch a movie, eat at a restaurant, talk to a government official. I want to some other things. Main and Kennedy, so I'm right here. Where are restaurants? Aquarium Drive, Aquarium, Haley Museum, Church Street, Birch Street Park, Railroad Museum, Symphony Hall, Ernie Bay Historical High School. Okay. Oh, bollocks. I guess it's useless to map. Whatever. Heck it. I'll just use the old map. Because I have big brain. Can I enter the Infotech building? From this intersection, Main Street runs east and west, and Kennedy Street can take you north or south. So the sixth house in the world. Oh, okay. I go north. I'll go to Center Street. There's two churches here. City Hall. If I go west, I could go to the City Hall. Let's go west. Rockville Center. The name of this plaza tells you all. Well-maintained portico of City Hall stretches across the west side of the plaza. Dunbar lies on the southeast corner. Park Street leads north and south. Main Street and Center Street both begin here, leading eastward and northeastwards, respectively. A swirling wind catches a yellow newspaper page. and blows it upwards out of sight. I guess, never mind. I think I'm about 10 seconds from actually grabbing my own piece of paper so I can be mapping this, because it does not look like my mapping software wants to do that for me. And I think it'd be good to map all this stuff. Maybe. Rather big piece of paper. We're gonna get real nerdy today, boys. Alright. So I just so happen. But that was my garbage can. I just so happen to have some old paper for drawing from when I did art. But it could very easily be repurposed for making maps. So what I think I'm going to be doing while I'm playing this game is making a map. Okay. Let's see. Rockville Center. Let's see. West Plaza. Which is to the west of Main Kennedy. Line west, and Dunbar lies on the southeast corner. Dunbar? The fuck is Dunbar? Let's go to the city hall. City Hall government is an old concrete slab building dating back to the late 20th century. The only exit is east. A government official is on a bench in the center of the lobby eating a snack. Ask the government official about the plan. You have a brief chat with the government official who cheerily comments on how well things in the city are running and how rewarding his job has been lately. Suddenly he glances at his watch, mumbles a polite parting message, and hurries away. Okay then. I had to talk with that guy, I guess. That was pretty rad. Skirmishes for the plan. He said things are going good. Guess I go east. Chasing back to Rockville Center. Dunbar's lies on southeast corner. You've entered an upscale department store crowded despite its rather steep prices. So, east. Okay. You have entered an upscale department store crowded despite its rather steep prices. Racks all around you are stocked with the latest fashions. To exit is the street to the northwest. Look at the fashions. Quite steeply priced. Okay. Rockville Center. Northwest. Okay. Park Street leads north and south. Which one's Park Street? So I'm assuming I'm right here. I'm gonna try going north along Park Street. Hallion Park. Hallion Park. You are on Hallion Street at the eastern terminus of of Halley Drive. North of here, Park Street descends into a tunnel under Halley Park. The park can be entered Oh wow, I see how it is. I'm being called a scrub. I can't believe it. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I can't believe that I would be called a scrub. Man, I'm just gonna go cry about it. Man, my feelings are so hurt. North of here, okay, the eastern terminus. We're at Park Street, the eastern terminus of Halley Drive. So Halley Drive goes off there, but I don't really see where I would want to go to Halley Park. I want to. Where would all these? We got in spent piece of lovely listen. North Central Station. Where the hell is North Central Station? I don't see North Central Station. North Central Station. Ah! I see North Central Station. Marvel District down to spend it. I don't know where I would go and get a bite of eat. Main library, Rockville University, high school, Symphony Hall, International Airport, North Central Station, church, main library, City Hall, Halley Museum. Guess maybe the stadium. I don't know. Eastern Terminus, Northern here. Park Street descends into a tunnel under High Park. The park can be entered through the northeast. Let's go southwest. Let's enter the hall. This multi-purpose hall was built by grant from the Hong Foundation with the stipulation that it must be used primarily for artistic and cultural events. It is also used for conventions, trade shows, and even, on occasion, sporting event. The current activity seems to be Publishers Convention. You can exit to the north, east, and southwest. No, and west. So I go back west, Halley Park, okay. Street. Let's look at the museum. Nearly 75 years old, Halley Museum is the pride of Rockville. The museum specializes in classical art, but also exhibits on science and engineering, cultural and human history, and modern art as well. The museum is, as usual, very crowded. The street lies to the northeast. Alright. At least. I'm front. How? Okay. Oh. I guess I'll enter from the northeast. East. South. West. Statue of Francisco Haley, founder of Rockville, raises in the center of the park. To the north is the aquarium, and south of here is Boxy Hang Hall. Yeah. So south. Let's go to north. Other exits from the park lead east, northwest, southeast. The larger section of the Haley Park lies west. Let's look at the aquarium. I want to see them fish. Aquarium. Yo, aquarium. Where the fishes live, I will see an aquarium. 'Cause I demand it. A ramp winds around a huge central tank and smaller exhibits to the outside walls. Exits. Really? A ramp up brings you to a different part of the tank, although the view inside is pretty much the same. Okay. Fine. Be that way. Then I'm gonna say let's lead, so look at the tank. Totally ordinary looking tank. Okay, cool. Exits lead south, west. Let's go west. Sky car lot. Okay. The aquarium's to the east and the zoo to the west. Oh my god! I want to go to the zoo. Oh yes, zoo. I want to know where the zoo is going. I want to know what's going on in the zoo. Of course, I want to know what the zoo is doing. Zoos are fun. But it's well designed, featuring natural exhibits nestled between grassy hills. The main entrance lies to the north, and other exits lead east and southeast. You can just make out an old elevated interstate forming the west border of the zoo. Where is the zoo? Where is the zoo? Does it say? It doesn't look like it says where the zoo is on this map. Guess maybe it didn't exist once upon a time. Okay. enter library mode. I guess abort simulation mode. Simulation terminated. I guess enter library mode. Because what I want to do real quick is I want to write down everything I need to do. Eat a meal in a restaurant. Talking to a government official. Visiting a power generating facility. Reading a newspaper. Riding some form of public transportation. Attending a court in session. Talking to the church official. Going to a movie. Visiting your own home or living quarters. And enter explanation. Orange 91. Actually, I think I want to real quick just restart. Restart. Cool. Let's say What's the things to do? Hmm. 6. Read. Whoa. Hmm. Close. Open. Read. Next. Read. 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 Okay. So, I have my list of things that I want to do. Enter simulation mode. Dark green 11. Where's dark green? Dark green 11 is 31. Okay. Kenny Park. East and this goes northwest. Okay. Kenny Park. I think what I want to go now is I want to go more down south because I think that's where I might be able to get some food. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's 10 a.m. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm crying. Alright. Alright, so southeast. Northeast. Elman Kennedy. Elman Kennedy. So I think what I want to go is. Okay, wait. There's a park entrance to the northeast corner and a hospital on the southeast corner. So that is a shopping mall and a large old building with an expressive facade. Southeast lies a shopping mall and a large old building with an impressive facade. What? Okay, wait. What's my list? Talk to a government official. Let's try the old place. Stock exchange. This aging impressive structure was once the economic center of this quad state region. The Dakotas, Wyoming, and Montana, however, in this day and age, the decentralization made possible by electronic communications, the activity here is reduced to both quantity and importance. Much of the building has been converted to office space. Wide steel portals lead southeast and southwest. Elman Kennedy. Okay, so wait. Is this Elman Kennedy? I'm gonna go maybe let's try east. Elman River here crosses down Trinity. Along the east side of the river street expands the vast Helm Fidget Building and Rockville Mall to the southeast, a Rock Station Exchange Building northeast, and entrance to the tube station. Okay. Let's try southwest. Let's see what's in the mall. Rockville Mall, the busy mall, is renovated computer factory. There are many stores and Dizzard Joy booths line the eastern side of the mall. There are exits to look at the Joy booths. Huh. Let's go south. Skycar lot. Let's go southeast. South and river. Okay. So I'm gonna go east. Or west, rather. In the north, here's a T with Southway on the corners opening temporary wooden fence. Oops. Okay. Let's go west again. Leading east and southeast, Park Street begins here and leads north. There are new buildings on the northeast and western corners of southeast. Grocery stores, ready window shaped with food, spans the center of the street. Eat a meal. And I'm going to say this is South and Park first. Okay, I think I'm going to go because I feel like this is actually kind of a boring live stream. There's nothing going on here. This isn't a super exciting game. Yeah. So I guess you hope you enjoyed this. If you didn't enjoy that, tell me. I think I'll play this more on my own. But if you're interested in text adventure games and you want to read a thing about them or learn about them, I suggest the podcast Eaten by a Group. It's really good. And they talk about all the Infocom games. And it's really good podcast, honestly. I think it's just a great time. So I highly suggest that. Yeah. Well, see you around. If you have any particular text adventure games you want to play, or you want me to continue this at all, tell me. All right. See you guys.